Welcome back to a new episode of Never Give Up, my podcast. This is an episode and a topic I really wanted to talk about it for a long time. And I think now it's the right time to do that. So I want to talk about how challenging is travel by yourself alone around the world for like more than 2 weeks, like for 2 weeks or more, because I had different travel, very long trip. For example, when I went in Cuba, I spent 3 weeks there. And then with my friends, I wasn't alone, but it was my first travel out of my country, and it was in the south of Asia, specifically around Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. And it was a very, as you know, it was a very special trip for my changing state of mind, my awareness, my like lot of experiences that really expanded my mind. Like when you travel and you see a lot of different countries, people, and different situations, different kind of lives. It's your mind can expand a lot, and when you come back, you're not the same person as fuck. 100%. This is what happens every time, and what happened every time I went back from my all my travels around the world. But this episode is focused on my last travel. I went in New York last summer, this summer, last month, and I spent there 2 weeks, and it was really amazing. And when I came back, my boss got me this beautiful book I just finished, and it is called The Travel Will Change Your Life. I don't know if it's the right translation because it's an Italian writer and traveler. The author is Jacopo Di Biase, and thank you for the boss who suggests me this reading, and also thank you for Jacopo Di Biase for sharing his experience with all of us. And I don't know, but like when I was reading it, there were a lot of common themes, a lot of common situation. I also empathized with him, and also felt and tried on my skin and in my experiences around the world. And so I had to take notes of all this kind of same situation we have to face, and we were forced to live when you travel alone for the first time. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's a very big challenge because you have to face anything. You have to live a lot of challenges, and you have to solve a lot of troubles and problems, because every day it's like really a challenge for you if you are alone. Because yes, you can probably ask the people on the streets, on the park, when you are at the airport, you meet a lot of people, but you are completely alone. So, for example, when you are in your hotel room or you stay in your B&B and you are alone in your room, what happens? You have to face through it. And well, for example, in New York, I found a lot of kind, gentle people who helped me in every kind of situation. But it is not so easy, because you can imagine that first of all, if you're not so able to talk their languages, you're not able to make you understand from people. So you have to struggle a lot to make people understand what you are think and or what you are asking for, like any kind of advices. Probably just on the streets when you have to ask for information about some places you have to you have to reach, you have to go to, and or maybe I remember when I went in New York, first struggle I had to face were learn how to use the train. So I went on the subway. I remember I was in Brooklyn because I spent the first 6 nights on my trip in Brooklyn, and I have to face I have to experience the train a lot of times, but it was really worth it because you can reach every place you wanted to go to with the train. So it's the best way to travel. If you don't want to walk, and I walked a lot when I was in New York, I walked like 200 miles, around 200 miles, because I was very, very excited, and I was very, I was a little bit crazy but I really love to walk. Like, if you don't walk, you can't see a lot of things. You have to go through the streets by your foot. You have to anytime you turn your head around, you are amazed by something, by anything you watch. You are staring in the streets, because I personally feel that you can find more truth on the streets, like walking around a local restaurant, or walking around local places and face with local situations. So there are more truths in the streets rather than in all the museums you can visit in any kind of places. But I was in New York, and now I'm gonna tell you later what happened and why I'm telling you and I'm talking about this. But coming back to this amazing book, I was so happy reading this book, and I was so excited because it was like I was reading my first travel diary, which I wrote while I was traveling around Asia with other 3 friends of mine. But it was so unexpected for me, because a lot of these things that Jacopo went through it, I had experiences not in one of my first solo trip, but in my first trip around Asia. And so those experiences he lived alone, I had to share with my friends, So the perspective are just a little bit different, but I felt the same kind of situation, problems and troubles when I went, for example, in Cuba in 2017. The travel was my first solo trip, and I had a lot of trouble to face. But, like, for example, I perfectly understand when you talk about the fact that you have to accept, you have to feel comfort with the long distance travel, because when, for example, you are in Asia and you have to take a train, a night train, so you have to travel for like around 12 or more hours, when you travel during the night, you are is easier, because while you're sleeping, you are not conscious of what happened. So it seems to you that you're not losing time, because while you are sleeping, you are traveling and you are reaching another country, another places, and when you wake up, you just arrived. So it doesn't matter how long the distance was or will be, but you know that you have to travel to go to your next stop. And so the problem, you have the same problem with. So the true problem is when you travel for a long period of time during the day, because in that moment you are awake, you are perfectly conscious, and so you wanted to spend the time during the day doing someone else, like visit someone places, parks, or going to whatever you want to do, but you cannot do that, because if you are, for example, in the middle of the jungle and you have to go to another stop in the jungle, or maybe you have to travel across the jungle, you have to travel across like hard streets, and you have just to take a van or a minivan or a tuk-tuk, which are really uncomfortable for a long distance. You just have to feel comfort with that, and you have to say to yourself, okay, you have to do this because you want to go to the next stop, and you can't complain because you have to. You are in the middle of your travel. You cannot refuse that. So yes, I found that the main difficult for when you travel, especially if you are long distance to walk or to do, you have to be aware that you probably will have a lot of times. You have to spend a lot of times just traveling on like trains, like tuk-tuk, for example, if you're in Asia, or maybe like metro train, or whatever it is. And when you reach the sequence stop, you are very excited because you struggle a lot, but you are excited, more and more excited, because you do that. So you feel like a hero. And I think it's, I really like personally travel a lot. Like, for example, we have to take an uncomfortable train when we were in South of Asia. We have to travel for like 15 hours on a sleeping train, but a sleeping train was really like uncomfortable. Was really bad. a bad travel, because you have to sleep on a like piece of wood, and with all the people who were very sick and illness, they got a lot of, oh my god, they were puking every time, and so the smell was really awful, and it was suck a lot of, I can remember I'm starting puking if I think about those images, but of people who were puking around us. But so going back to, for example, other common experiences with Jacopo are the fact that when you travel, you have to meet a lot of people. You have to, for example, you can organize anything. You cannot organize anything. And you have to, for example, also feel comfort with what happened at any time and suddenly, because it's part of the trip, it's part of the goal, it's part of the game. And like, for example, I had to go to a show in Broadway when I decided one day when I was in Manhattan to go to Staten Island, but I was planning to go to Staten Island in the first part of the day, and then I had to go to a show in Broadway to watch the musical of Chicago, but it was starting at probably 2 p.m. And when I arrived in Staten Island, I felt in love so much with that place, so different from Manhattan, because it was so calm, so quiet, and I really love that places. So I decided to stay in Staten Island, to lose my show, my show in Broadway, and I completely changed what I was planning. So what I had planned for the day. But it was really worth it because I saw a lot of beautiful country. I visited a lot of beautiful places in Staten Island, and I met a lot of gentle, kind people around there. And also when I went back from the day, I stared at a beautiful, beautiful sunset time on the Staten Island ferry. Going back to Manhattan, and it was really worth it. And I remember reading the book that he had to face a lot of struggle with the hostel situation, like for example, the fact that the check-in at the hotel was later respect from the time he arrived in the hotel. So he had to spend a lot of time doing something else, or he didn't plan. And I remember I had to do the same. For example, when I was in New York, and I had to go from New Jersey, because I spent just one night in New Jersey. When I was staying there for the concert of Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then I remember in the morning I had to do the checkout on the hotel and move to Harlem, where, let me tell you what happened. It was a bad experience, but yeah, another example of struggle I had to face. Oh my God, it was just in my mind another story Jacopo told in the book. It was really funny, but it was really the right example of how you have to use your mind, and you have to think because you have to survive, and you have to think how you can do that. Like for example, when he went to this hotel, I remember he was really freezing during the night, so he had to build a warm situation, a warm bed to sleep, because there were no covers, there was nothing for him to sleep, to cover him during the night. So he used the part of the bed in which we all sleep, and use also some pillows to fill the gaps between the bed and his shoulder. And you use also like probably toilet, some oh my god, I don't know, but I can't remember what he used, but it was really he was a genius, because he tried to imagine how he could solve that problem, and he did it. And he also say, if I remember right, he say that hotel, it was not a hotel, probably just an Airbnb, and he stayed just for 2 nights and then he had to move. But he used his mind, he used your imagination, he used your experience, building that kind of bed to sleep during the night, because it was freezing. And when I went to Harlem, I was telling you that I was moving from New Jersey to Harlem, but I had to go away. I had to escape the morning after. Early in the morning, I escaped from the bed room I booked on the Airbnb in this like kind of apartment with other 2 people, and they were the room wasn't so. The area around my flat was very, very dangerous, very scary, and I probably was the only one white person, the only one tourist around that area. I had to move away, and I was so scared. I felt so scared being there, and so I remember that I spent the night. I really had a very hard night, because I was so excited. I was so anxious, and I had to face with a lot of anxious that night. And I wanted to escape during the night, but it was not possible because I didn't have another hotel, another room booked. So I spent the night looking for my next room in other hotel. I mean, there is another things that probably was in common with Jacopo, the feeling, the sensation in common with Jacopo, because he also said in the book that when you are traveling alone, you have to face a lot of struggle, and you cannot be completely understood by people, because they're not there with you. And this is the same for bad things or good things that happens during the travel, because when you are experiencing beautiful things, you wish you could share the things with the people you love, because you want to share your excitement, but they're not there with you. You are completely alone, and you have to experience by yourself everything. And when you came back, it's so hard to make people leave, to make people see and feel what you were feeling, were seeing, and were living, just living. but I find it very special. I find out that this sensation is very special. It's very unique. I mean, you have some like secret places that remains secret to you, just for you. You are not able to share them. So what you saw, what you visited, and just you know what that means when you were there, when you were experienced that. And so it's kind of difficult to say, but that's what I like, travel alone. I mean, when you travel alone, you don't have to share nothing. Okay, you have to share the same things you do, for example, with all the tourists. But like Jacopo says in the book, you became, during the travel, experiencing a lot, and day by day, you became more attractive to local situation, to, like, for example, local parties, local restaurant, local foods, local smells, because you want to taste the community. You want to get deep with the community, with all their cultures and traditions and stories. You want to know everything about them. And you want to feel on your skin, you want to smell with your nose how and what is the feeling of the population, the culture. Because if you do, and if you follow what all the tourists, you follow the tourists on the main attractions. You, like, for example, before I went to New York, I also, like every kind of tourist, I had to buy the city pass with a lot of discount and no queue tickets. But I found out that those attractions didn't amaze me a lot. I prefer to lose myself in the street. I prefer to lose myself walking in the street and being surprised by like live concert in the park, just not knowing they were going to happen. It's going to see people on the streets or a musician playing instrument, also strange instrument in the park, and you just have to stop and stare at them, listen to them, losing like the sense of time. You don't know when you travel, for example, and you have to do a lot of improvisation, but it's the best thing. So I was saying that for you personally, I prefer to experience in the local communities and experience and visited all their place rather than going to museum, going to like, for example, some skyscraper or top of the rock, or like, for example, the observatory on the Rockefeller Center, because you just are sharing, you are visiting, you are watching something that all the people are doing, all the people are watching, and all the people are going to. And it's not some kind of special things. But if you are walking around by yourself and you stop and stare at something special for you, it remains special for you and no one else. And you feel the very experience of being in another culture, in another community, different from yours. Because when you are travel, especially if you are travel alone, you are you are your own guide. You are your own personal guide, and you are able to feel free to go where the fuck you want to go. And like, for example, when I wanted to, oh yeah, I told you that when my experience in Ireland was really bad, but I decided to go back during another day. I decided to go back to another places in Harlem. Oh, let me see just if I'm recording right. Yeah. And I decided to go to Harlem for make me forget about the bad experience, and I wanted to see Harlem from another perspective, another point of view. And let me tell you what happened, because thanks to that day, which I'm going to tell you about, I just went back home with a beautiful memories of Harlem. Because one day, I remember, I was saying, when you travel, the best part is that you don't know what day is, what day of the week is, if it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, you just don't know. There are no Sundays, there are no Saturdays, there are days with no name, and it's beautiful. And you don't know you probably, if you stare at your phone every time, you perfectly know the time and the day. But if you do like me, who I like to, and as Jacopo says, turn off your phone, because you have to save your battery, because you have to take a lot of photos or videos, and you don't know, but you have to, if you don't have a power bank, like I don't have, and it was kind of a challenge for me not to take with me in travel a power bank, and I can guarantee you that it's possible to do that and to travel without a power bank and stay out of the house, of the room hotel or the Airbnb all day long, just putting offline your phone, so you don't have to check your mails, your phones, your texts, your Instagram, your social network, and you can feel in another dimension, you can feel in another world. And it's not that you forget about your problems and your life, but it seems like something like that, because there are days in which you completely forget about your life, and especially you can watch your life from a bird eye view. I love this term, bird eye view, because you are completely far from your routine, you're far from your life, you're far from your circle of friends, your social circle. So you can judge your life from another point of view. You can rethink about it. You can rebuild another routine, or probably you can think about something and some situation you're just not able to afford anymore when you will go back. And let me tell you that every kind of travel changed my mind, state of mind, my perspective, my my purpose in life. Every kind of travel I did. That's the best part. One of the best part of the travel. You can change your life thinking about it, just being there. Like, for example, I feel the sensation that the farthest you go away, the easy way you can experience to judge your life and to watch your life from literally a bird eye view. So it's important. It's important to stay disconnected from your phone, from your life. But because if you are into it, if you are checking your mails, also when you travel, you are not able to disconnect and to think about it and reflect about your feelings and your problems, your souls, your trouble. And it's just so simple. You have to turn off your phone. You have a lot of things to do, to watch. You have a lot of people to meet because also. Okay, so let me. I'm losing a lot of time. Sorry, but I have a lot of things to tell. So probably I will record 2 episodes in one because it's not possible. And also, I was saying that you can, when you travel alone. Okay, I was sorry. I did it for the second time. I was telling you about my second chance I gave to Harlem. And let me tell you, that morning, it was probably a Sunday because, yeah, it was the last Sunday, I was for sure, because the next day I had to go back in Italy, so I had to know what kind of day it was. And because only on Sunday there were a lot of like gospel service, Sunday service. So I was just looking for them. I decided to go to Harlem to ask to the preacher to ask to them to participate and to take part of the Sunday services. But a lot of Baptist churches I went to were closed for the tourists. It was also for faiths. And we have to, like, when I arrived in Harlem, I met 2 young Italian people, just a couple who went back from Los Angeles. They spent like 1 week in Los Angeles and they had to stay like for 3 days in New York. But they were so, oh my God, like I was feeling that they were giving bad energies because they were so, especially the women, especially the girl, started to complain for everything, like the fact that we had to change a lot of trains before to arrive to Harlem, because we was where it was going to, it was taking the wrong direction of the train. But let me tell you that it's a very big trouble taking the understand in which direction, and just it is hard to learn how to use the train. But once time you're in, you can do it with no wrong experiences anymore. But that time I was not sure that train was going the right direction, but I decided to take it. And so the couple follow me, and when they guessed that I was wrong, they started to tell me, oh, but this is the wrong train. Oh, we have to take the other train. Okay, so what's the problem? Take the other train. We are experienced like, and I am experienced like you. The funny things and the weird things was the fact that they were thinking I was English, so we were speaking to each other in English languages, but in English language, and they were so. I had a lot of fun listen to them talking in English because I couldn't understand a single word. So they had a terrible pronounce, and it was really difficult for me to understand. And I'm Italian, imagine what the situation was, but it was what it was. And so we decided to stop a Baptist church in which there was a funeral, and we didn't know they wouldn't have sing during the ceremony. But there were no tourists. We went in the church, and I remember that I was staring in the front of oh my God, I don't know what to say, but just right upside, I think. And I was looking around in the church, and I just didn't notice any kind of mix. So I tell them, excuse me, but I am thinking that during this funeral there won't be any kind of gospel songs or chorus. And they started saying to me, oh, that's awful, but we were looking for a gospel service. So I know, me too, but we are here. All the other churches were closed for us, and so we have to take this. And let me tell you that this experience during the funeral was special because although it wasn't gospel chorus, there were no gospel chorus because it was a funeral, but they also sang something, and like a lot of songs. And was, oh my God, let me tell you, let me see, yes, 2 minutes, then we have to stop and we have to continue, or maybe just I stop this one.